people believe it is the end times, that we are close to some apocalyptic breakdown, a collapse of society, where the grocery stores are empty, there's no more gas at the gas station, kind of like a doomsday scenario, and it can be a frightening proposition. I recently watched the Netflix movie called Leave the World Behind, and something similar was happening in that movie. I don't want it to be a spoiler for you if you're going to watch it, but I will just say that the movie takes place in a more rural setting. So they're not in the city. So they're not enduring the madness of what the city would endure. And I think that is something that will be different if anything like that were to happen in a Western society. If you think about it, like Ukraine is going through a war right now, and they still have grocery stores, you know. They're in the middle of a war, but their grocery stores still have food. You know, it's kind of weird. So I don't think, Russia's in a war, but people still go to the grocery, So just being in a war doesn't mean that everything breaks. So it's not going to be a war that doesn't, Israel and Gaza are fighting. Even Gaza still has electricity and water in some places, So, it isn't like it's just, even war doesn't make like the end of the world. So it has to be something extreme. It has to be like some sort of extreme breakdown in the function of society, where the men that work at the power plants don't go to work and the power plants are broken, or trucks aren't drivable so that they can't get food to the groceries. Something extreme would have to happen to have an absolute collapse. So I just personally don't believe that we're ever going to see it. I think when we look back in history, and even like recent history, since we've had electricity and modern production, I think the worst thing that happened was World War II. America dropped nuclear weapons on atomic bombs on Japan, and they survived, Now, not the people that got the bombs dropped on them in the general vicinity, but the country survived. Today, they're like our number one ally and like the most peaceful civilization there is. World War II, you had Hitler and the Nazis, it's there's things that were so extreme, but yet society still functioned. We have these as examples, even in the worst examples in Russia, where, Stalin was like killing millions of their own citizens. People still had grocery stores, so I just think it would be so rare for us to see it. Now, I think we're seeing a lot of societal angst. I think there's a lot of stress and a lot of pressure and a lot of anger, but I believe it's all driven by, I believe a lot of it's driven by how we're spending our time. We're watching 24-hour news. We're scrolling dumb stuff on the internet, stuff that just feeds our anger. The roads are crowded, and we drive around angry, and people have road rage, and I think that's what we're seeing. I just think it's a common, a lack of respect for our fellow man, and by that I mean man and woman. I think that's what's doing it. I think there's so many less than. They don't feel like they're prejudiced against when they go to get jobs, but they're professional people. They've done all the right things and they're doing the right things. They're not, walking around with their pants pulled down and, tattoos on their face, and they are doing the right things to be productive members of society. I'm not calling people out that have their pants pulled down and have tattoos on their face. There's a time and place for that. You want to do that, you're probably limited to what you can do in this society. You probably need to be a rapper or I don't know, you could probably start like a restaurant, at work. I don't know. But my point is that even those people can find a way to function in society. They're just not going to be reaching the pinnacles of success. Look, Mike Tyson, as an example, with his face tattooed, multi-millionaire, but he doesn't wear his pants pulled down, So, there's opportunities for everyone. I think that's one example that race is not a problem anymore. But the interest groups, like they have a vested interest. If we just come out today and announce, hey, there's not a race problem anymore, guess what? Those people don't get paid. All of the organizations and the not-for-profits that are out there pushing these racial division topics, that's out there saying there's systemic racism and all these things, yeah, they're gonna go away. The same with homelessness. There's multiple companies now and government divisions that are just there for the homelessness problem. So do you think it's ever going to go away? Of course not, because people have a vested interest in making sure we have homelessness. People have a vested interest in making sure there is racism, because if there's not, then they don't have a job. Their gravy train goes away. And I think it's the same, like people say there's gay bashing. I'm like, most people, I just don't even know anybody that's like wants to kill gay people. I think it's a narrative so that these corporations can continue to thrive. They're going to go away if they can't claim that there's these problems. So I think that's it. Morgan Freeman says it best. He said, you want to do away with racism, quit talking about it, But again, it's coming from a white guy, so I'm probably going to get some hate on this one, but I'm not saying there's not some idiot racist out there. I know there are, just like there's black people that just want to kill white people. There's idiot white people out there still. They're on the fringes, just like in the black community. They're on the fringes. There's hate in everybody, and there's mental illness in everybody, but it's on the fringe. I believe the bulk of us are good people, and we all just want to do the right thing and get along with each other. But the fringe get all the attention, and it's just not right. But that's what I feel, that again, the news media, what sells? Bad news sells, so they need bad things to report on, and so they amplify and they make things worse. So when you watch the news, you're like, oh, that's horrible, and then they don't just tell the news, then they spend the next 6 hours having talking heads saying, yeah, this is what I think about it, and this is what I think about it, and this is why it's so bad for society, what just happened, and this is proof that things are just really, really messed up and about to explode. And when reality, they're really not. I just don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen. And like, there's a part of me that feels like, this may seem strange, but there's a part of me that feels like it's not going to happen because it's what needs to happen. Truly, I think it's what would fix a lot of our problems. It's like in America, we did have a civil war at one time. Now, this was before, electricity, and before we had cars. It was a different time. But after that, we healed. 600,000 people died during our Civil War. And a lot of those were the bad, bad, bad people. They just needed to go away. It's like in Japan. Why did they become so good? Because the bad ones went away. You can't. Some people just cannot have their minds changed. They're just going to linger around and create all the problems. So that's why I just don't think we're going to see some sort of, chaos like that, because it would actually help. And unfortunately, we're not going to fix our problems like that. We're not going to fix them that easily. They may get better, but we're never going to just rip the Band-Aid off and do what needs to be done. And in 2 years, everything's so much better because we endured the misery that we should endure to cleanse the problem. We need to. There's a fringe out there that, quite truthfully, is just hindering society's advancement. And if we could do it, and I'm talking on both sides, it's both sides extremes. And there's not just two sides, it's like all sides. There's all sorts of faction parties that are just wicked. We'll use Islam for an example. There are so many wonderful Muslim people, but you have a fringe that just wants to kill everyone that's not a Muslim, and that's the faction that just needs to go away, so that the rest of the Muslims can be peaceful. It's the same with any organization, like the racist white people. I'm sure there's some KKK organization out there still to this day, some one-toothed hillbillied white people acting like idiots that just need to go away. And unfortunately, we just legally can't do it. But if there was some sort of chaos, they would be wanting to fight, and then they would end up gone. And that's what would be best for society. That would be the quickest way to improve our society, is to get rid of the bad and leave the good, and repair and fix all the broken stuff, and boom, everything is better for a long, long time. And I think that's what happened after the Civil War. And since then, we haven't seen much. We haven't seen many problems, but it's starting to fester. And that's why I think Thomas Jefferson said, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of tyrants and patriots." He knew that things needed to be cleansed, that things would become complacent, and factions would fester and build, and these pockets of society would develop like cancers. And that's what's happened, and they're among us, and there's nothing we can do about it. You can talk to them, you can try to help, but you just can't get through to them. They are so hateful, especially in America, the people that hate this country. If I hated it, I would leave it, but they won't. It's just sad. But anyway, so back to, if it did happen, what do I do? I don't think it is, but there is that slight possibility, because there's other things besides war or ourselves that could create that problem. For example, a big giant asteroid could hit and knock everything out. There is a volcano in the middle of our country, and if it explodes, it's going to take out everything, nearly, but there will be some survivors. And so you have to think about that. There's also the possibility of an EMP from the sun. The sun could literally knock out every electronic device on the planet. And if that happened, trucks wouldn't run, because everything's electronic now. Even if it has a gas engine, all the electronics are there to make it work. It will not work. Electronics will be gone. Computers, cell phones, everything will be gone. So what would you do? How would you survive? Well, for me, I protect myself as far as I live alone. So, I do have, and in America we are allowed to have weapons, and I do, and my first round of defense, of course, is always, yeah, but if they aren't successful, my next round of defense is this. This is a 40 caliber. You can see there is one in the chamber. So this is my first go-to. That's if I'm with one person coming to attack me. If I get disarmed, I have a backup. This one's loaded. This is a backup. This is a 9mm for my house. Let's say I'm sleeping and I hear something. This is what I keep by my bed. There's the round. This is a shotgun, and this will do a lot of damage. So you basically don't even have to aim with this thing because it just is going to spray. That's why this is the best thing for personal protection at home, because you can do a lot of damage with it. Now, people talk about automatic and semi-automatic weapons. This is semi, so you have to every time. Actually, this is not even semi. This is pump action. So you pump this every time. Then when you shoot it, you have to pump it again for another one. These are semi-automatic, so you just pull. Every time you want a round, you have to pull the trigger. The biggest threat is a group, and this is likely what would happen. You're not going to get one person breaking in your door. It is going to be very rare that that would happen. And if it did, I'm going to probably win that battle, because my dogs bark. My dogs' ears are so sensitive, they hear everything, so they're my alert. My dogs will alert. I will be ready, and I will know what to do. But what if there are 10? What if there's a group of 10 or 12 or 15 people coming? This is a clip, a magazine. Those are bullets. This is an AR-15. this one's set up like a sniper rifle. This goes in there. That weapon is meant to take out a lot of people. That is for a group. And if I could get in a good position and I knew there were people here, I could do a lot of damage with that. But those are just for my home protection. I rarely go out. Sometimes I do. I do take my little ankle gun places when I feel like I'm going somewhere that's not as safe, but where I live is extremely safe. Like the general area that I live is a very low crime area, but I do sometimes travel to higher crime areas. I never take this anywhere. That's just for home. But again, in the case of some sort of chaos, this is why this is nice to have. Now, the other thing about having the protection is just feeling secure at home. Again, when you live alone, you never know. And so if you're prepared, I could endure a lot before suffering my own demise. It would take a lot for somebody to get me. So, and also, I had these when I didn't live in this safe area. So my first house I came from a town that was not very safe. But that's how it is. And also, my hope would be that if something happened, I would get other people here that I know are of like-minded individuals that would want to stay safe and that would be able to, maybe use some of my firearms to be able to help protect me. And then as far as food goes, I do have what I've done is I have probably about 6 months worth of meal replacements. I use Vega 1. It's VEGAONE, Vega 1. And it's a meal replacement, and it's powder and water. I have a well here, so I can pump water with a hand pump from my well. But as long as I have electricity, my faucets work, but I have the ability to get water from my well without electricity. And I have about 6 months worth of meal replacements that I would eat. And my dogs I would set them free, and they would be able to probably catch rabbits and squirrels or something to eat. So they would also just scavenge, they would eat the horse poop. The horse eats grass. Nature, they would be fine. But that's what I would do to protect myself. But the truth is, I don't feel like I need it. I don't feel like it's going to happen. I've had most of these weapons 20 years, and nothing has ever happened, and likely nothing will. But there is a saying that says, a gun is like a parachute. If you need it and don't have it, you probably won't live to tell about it. So, having it and not needing it is better than needing it and not having it. And then, when Japan was fighting America, they asked the emperor, why did you never invade America's homeland? And he said, because behind every blade of grass is an American with a gun. And so that's what makes this country harder to attack, because most of us are armed in some sort of way. So it's a right that we have, and for the good citizens, we are here to protect the vulnerable, and to keep order. And I think it's a good thing, but I hate that some people, because of the mental problems, some people get them and go do bad things with them, like mass shootings and stuff. So I get and I understand why some people don't approve, but I think we're better off as a society with good people having them. So anyway, this is just my opinion. I think we're going to be okay. I do not think we're ever going to see, not in our lifetimes, I don't think we're going to see any type of chaos that would not have running water for you, not have electricity for you, not have food in the grocery stores. I think somehow, some way, we are just going to keep treading along in this treacherous, nasty environment for a while until I think we'll steadily work ourselves out of it. I think right now we're in like a 50-50 quagmire, and I think that eventually it'll be 55-45, 60-40, 65-35, 70-30, and once we get that to like a 70-30 or even a 65-35, I think at that point things will be better. We just have to get a majority. Again, we have to get the majority of people believing the same thing. And if we can get the majority of people on the same page, we'll have a period of pretty reasonable peace again. And the news will be reasonable. Social media will calm down. And I think that's what's going to happen. I could be wrong. I could just be an optimist. But if not, I'm going to go hunt for food. I'm going to probably kill deer and rabbits and eat my meal replacements and protect my homeland. And I have oil lanterns for light. I have a lot of candles. I have the meal replacements. I'm going to live for a while, and probably if the chaos ensues for that much longer, I'll probably have to go out at night and scavenge other people's houses that aren't alive anymore and take whatever canned goods I can find and do stuff like that. I mean, in an extreme situation, but again, that's just in these far-fetched theories that I have, like emergency contingencies. But all in all, truly, I think we're all going to be okay. So my advice, live as if we're going to be okay. Prep a little bit. Be prepared as best you can without going crazy and without going broke. And live your life as if it's not going to stop. Because think about it. If you'd have lived your life 2 years ago as if it was going to stop, where would you be today? No, you would be in a bad place. So live your life as if the world's just going to keep on going. Be diligent, be careful, be safe, and I'll see you on the next one.